amount of people that are out here.
I've never experienced anything like that from that side. Have you?
Oh, no, no way. I tell you, the most exciting point in my career probably was yesterday being on the sideline. You know, it seemed like we were fortunate in where we were, that everything that happened that was big yesterday happened right in front of us. Willie Galt's catches, Dennis Gentry's catch down on the one, Perry going in for the touchdown. It was almost like a dream to see it all happen, and I'm sure a lot of people who watched on television feel the same way.
There is no way. This is a Super Bowl ring that Jim Grabowski won in Super Bowl II. Boy, what a thrill to wear that all these years. And I know the Bears are looking forward to the same thing, Jim.
Well, Joe, you know, you heard so many times the people say that's what they play for is the ring. And as Ronnie and I were discussing before we came out, he has his championship ring from 1963. Those are the things that last. Those are the things that you always will cherish. They'll never take it away from you.
You know, you guys amaze me, though. All you football players, you remember every play of every big game.
Well, I'll have to admit, Joe, as the years go by, those plays become a little bit bigger, and the runs become a little bit longer, and that's all the... Oh, here we go. Look at it. They're looking out the top, waving at the crowd.
Is that Jim?
That could be Kevin Butler.
It's hard to tell. They're all looking like Jim McMahon with the shades.
They all have on lightweight jackets. Oh, boy, I hope somebody's standing in the sidelines with some warm coats for our Bears. Look at the people.
They're going up one at a time. That's terrific.
To wave to the crowd. And look at the front. It looks like people are trying to plaster some kind of a banner right on the front of the bus.
Actually, I think Jim McMahon was supposed to go to Hawaii about 7 this morning from New Orleans for the Pro Bowl, along with 7 other of his teammates. And Walter Payton, who's also a Pro Bowler, was to come on the plane with the rest of the team for this celebration. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Now, I'm not sure what this person right here is celebrating, Joel, but at least maybe they're warm under that mask. And the motorcade inching its way. The pathway cleared a little bit, I think, Joel, as we approach the intersection right here at Clark and Washington.
Well, I'm a little confused. Now we have the convertibles again. I guess we have both the buses and the convertibles. I wonder who got the bus. There's the chopper shot. Skycam looking down into the heart of those canyons, those tall buildings.
And Skycam struggling to maintain stability today because there's a rather brisk wind. We can feel it here on the ground.
There we are.
Cheering the crowd. They're cheering.
You're right, Ronnie. It's sinking in now. All right.
Woo-hoo. Number one. The crowd in Daly Center. The crowd in Daly Center seeing the same picture on the big division screen that you're seeing in your home right now, and that's why there was that roar of approval. They're all climbing on top of the bus. Do you believe it?
They're seeing the same thing on the big monitor that we're saying, and that's what the big roar is coming up for.
That's right.
Well, also, you can tell from that angle that they're just a half a block away from the corner of Washington and LaSalle. And, of course, that's where we are.
Another bus pushing its way through the motor train. And all the time, ticker tape, paper, business papers, and heaven knows what flying through the air here.
Or are they having fun now?
It's good to see that the players are enjoying as much as the crowd is.
How can they not enjoy this? I mean, it's infectious. It's contagious.
I was thinking how great it is to be going to Hawaii for the players who are going. But, you know, it's sort of a shame they have to miss this because after the season and after everything that's happened, stand up and take a bow, but be careful on top of that bus, guys.
Orchestrating the crowd like they have all year long.
Now, I was just thinking.
That Mike Ditka right up,
it looks
right
like
up in
Mike.
front, over on the right of the screen
That's
there.
Mike.
Oh, that's the bus driver, sorry.
Mike McCaskey, I think Mike Dickens next to him. I was going to say, you know, this was the last year for the Honey Bears as the official team cheerleaders. If they need a replacement, I don't know how much you can hear on your television set. I think they should take Tim Weigel. He has got this crowd going crazy.
In the spirit with the ticker tape.
Oh, enjoy
people here on the plaza, and they had big, huge garbage bags just full of shredded paper and ticker tape, and so there's a lot. There's going to be more confetti waiting for the Bears once they hit Daly Plaza. You can see some of it there on the side.
And if you'll just look at this crowd, if you'll recall, they're late, so they've been out here waiting for a long time.
This square, the plaza started filling up around noontime.
Look at that Super Bowl sweater. Fantastic looking sweater. Great.
All right. We keep
Bears.
saying it. One of these moments is going to be true. They're going to be here. But while they're making their way to the plaza, enjoy. We'll be right back.
What a hitter he is. Second down and 10. Eason dragged down by Steve McMichael. Fumbles. The Bears have it. They rule it. Yes, it is.
They have a sign on the bus that says VIP group. What an understatement.
Would you say, Joel, they own Chicago?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As they get closer, the noise volume picks up here. When they get on that stand, no one will be able to hear anything.
The thing is, the police have been very successful in parting that crowd slowly down the street so the caravan could make its way down. But again, I wonder what's going to happen when they hit the plaza here, because I don't see a sidewalk peeping through or a piece of street, or there's just not there's someone standing everywhere. There's so many people.
It's a human sea of humanity is what it is everywhere.
You know, our mayor, Harold Washington, is going to be the official host of this celebration. He will introduce the players and, of course, the coaches. Mayor Washington has a way with words. He has a way to pick out superlatives. I think it may even tax Mayor Washington today to say how we all feel about this great team.
Look at the players. Look at the players right on the lead bus of the caravan of buses. And there will be over 100 people up on the dais here. The Bears, the staffers, the managers of the team, as well as possibly some family members. And I believe they're in the buses to the back, so the family members sharing all this enthusiasm.
I was just thinking of all the other parades we've seen in the other cities around the country after World Series wins, after Super Bowl champions. Never have I ever seen anything even close to this.
There he
Here
is.
comes the mayor. Mayor Harold Washington heading up to the podium. Oh.
So now Tim Weigel starts a chant for Harold Washington. He'll go to work at City Hall now.
Mayor Washington's on the podium now, preparing to greet the Chicago Bears. And there he is. That cheer
How
going
about
up
those
for
Bears,
Mayor
says the
Washington.
mayor?
He will get them revved up.
You bet. You bet.
Don't let anybody tell you we're the second city, says the mayor. We're number one.
You know, I'm not sure we're picking up the microphone at the podium. If not, let me repeat, Mayor Washington just said, no more second city, we're number one. We're going to the platform now so we can hear what Mayor Washington is saying to this crowd. Here's the mayor of Chicago. A happy man. Terrific.
What a deserving tribute.
We've all commented on how subdued these Super Bowl champions seem to be after their big victory yesterday. What a change. Look at them today. They're just all fired up.
Now, Joel, it looks as if some members of the team have also climbed out on the roof of that second bus as well. And they're all sitting up there like it was a sunny day in June in Chicago.
It is a sunny day.
Enjoying the crowd.
Well, you can get caught up in it very easily just being out here, and as it goes along, the crescendo rises, and you get caught up in it, and you don't notice the cold.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, the paper shredders have been busy today. Look at that.
You're so right, Ronnie. You know, I don't feel quite as cold as I did earlier. It's getting to all of us now. The adrenaline is starting to flow. Everybody's excited.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, in a lot of games that we played in, it was cold when it started, but as you get into it, you didn't notice the cold. And I think the crowd is feeling that way right now, and the players too.
I was going to say the players, most of whom don't even have overcoats, they don't look a bit cold. There's again a shot for the sky cam.
Looks like they're doing a little cheerleading of their own from the top of the bus.
I'm not real good at estimating crowds. The last time we had a parade up LaSalle Street, they said 10,000, and they were about 20 deep. They've got to be 3 or 4 times larger just on LaSalle Street alone, and this plaza is wall to wall.
A lot of people that have poured out of offices, a lot of people that have come from around the loop. But, you know, Joel, I think a lot of people that made a conscious trip to come down to Chicago to be here for the rally. A lot of people are prepared. They brought blankets with them.
It's a great crowd. It's real orderly. There's just a communion here. Okay, they're getting close again. And as they get close, we'll take another commercial timeout.
When my mother told me, Nancy.
Back again live, the corner of Clark and LaSalle. That is where the Chicago Bears are presently making their way to this great overflowing Bears Plaza. There you can see the big 80-foot screen, the massive humanity, and the podium where the Bears will be introduced. And there they are.
Just turning the corner, coming right across in front of City Hall, Joel.
Listen to that crowd.
View from Skycam now as the crowd starts We're number 1.
You know, this ceremony may not be over until after dinner.
I think at this point they really don't care. They're having so much fun.
I believe some of those people on the bus climbed up from the crowd. Those certainly aren't all the players.
That's
That's
what
right.
I'm saying. It looks like part of the fans have joined them on top of the bus.
Well, we can actually see the buses now from where we are. And we're at the south end of the plaza.
Yeah, the first bus is pulled up, and it looks like
I
it's
don't
going
know
to
what
pass.
arrangements they've made other than the players somehow have to get off the buses and through this crowd to the platform.
This is when they need those blockers now, because they've got to get from the bus onto the podium, and there's nothing but a sea of humanity there, just people everywhere. And to part those, it's going to take some doing.
What we have here now, the Bears are right between the county building and the plaza. You bet. A toast to Chicago. So the players are responding both to the people hanging out of the window and this great crowd in the plaza.
I think we've seen quite a few toasts in Chicago taking place in an effort to keep warm down here in the plaza. But as you say, for this many people, Joel, surging forward, you get a look at that podium, and everybody's moving forward now. It's a very orderly group of people, a party atmosphere.
And a lot of these people back here on Washington can't even see the podium from where they're standing. Except for the big screen, they wouldn't know what's going on. They don't care.
One of the trucks out here, one of the city trucks stopped out here, and if it stopped long enough, everyone climbed up on top of it, so it's not going anywhere. They want that advantage to see.
How do you like that bear hat, Joel, or panda hat, as the case may be?
Well, there's a tough guy. That's Steve McMichael there in the open shirt there in the sport coat, kicking off some of the ticker tape.
Boy,
Shows you how tough he is.
what a day he had. He had something to prove, and he did it.
Well, he said he wasn't going to celebrate until they won the last one. Now I'm sure he's doing a lot of celebrating.
Ronnie, we may see about 3 weeks of celebration out of McMichael.
It's going to be beyond me, Joel, to see how they get off the top of that bus and over to the podium, because there's just no clear path. The Chicago police have moved in. You see a sign there, Chicago Ukrainians love Mike Ditka.
I guess they do.
Police have moved in, but they don't seem to be making a lot of headway, because as the police are moving in, the crowd is also seeming to surge over that way. We can see people moving now here along Washington and moving over from Dearborn, so the motion is sort of over toward the city-county building.
Jim mentioned earlier that he couldn't recall another city that had a victory celebration quite so enthusiastic or spontaneous. Every time there is a celebration like this, a comment is made about how the community comes together and what a great feeling it is to be a citizen of that city. I couldn't feel more proud to be a Chicagoan. I couldn't feel happier to be in the middle of this today.
I agree with you so much, Joel. I mean, I was born and raised here, grew up on the northwest side, and I, like yourself, I feel so glad that I'm part of this. Sitting here, it's just thrilling to me.
Well, see, you're looking at it from Chicago. I'm a little fella from Texas. I've been caught up into it. I've adopted Chicago. Chicago's my home now. And you can see why, just by the enthusiasm that they have over this winning team.
Cheer goes up, led by Artem Weigel.
We're number one.
We're number one is the cheer.
Well, the motorcade is stopped completely. You can see it from Skycam. They're just absolutely stopped. There's no way they're going to be able to move through that crowd until they can get some people to step back. And no one wants to move. Indeed, they may not be able to.
Well, if they don't get the players in, Joel, they're probably going to put the Super Bowl shuffle up again, because that was the standard thing that was played on that big Diamond Vision screen throughout the afternoon. Although I kind of like Bob Birdie's line this morning. It wasn't a distraction. It turned out to be destiny. The Super Bowl shuffle.
We're going to be going to another commercial, and believe me, this celebration will take place sometime today. We'll be back.
2nd and 20. Here they come. A jailbreak. Wilson and Hampton this time.
And we're back.
Mayor Washington took the podium just a moment ago, and he was asking every member of the crowd to please not push forward, not surge forward. Now, I believe a member of the Bears organization is on the podium saying that they don't want anyone to be hurt in this big crowd, and the problem with getting underway with the ceremony at this point, frankly, ironically, is the crowd. There's so many people, it's not possible to get the Bears safely off the buses.
Well, some of them have gotten off.
Yeah, some of them have gotten off, but
Some of them are on the platform. So I think we ought to go to that platform as Mayor Washington introduces some of our heroes.
All right, you're doing great. The buses are moving much better now.
that shows you the cooperation of this crowd. They've asked them to step back so the players can get on the podium, and they're cooperating with them. So with all the enthusiasm, they still want the players to get up there so they can all give them a rounding cheer.
Ronnie, do you know who that was that made his way through the crowd? He's got to be a defensive back or something.
I thought the big fella I thought was Hartenstein, but it's hard to tell from this vantage point.
Well, it had to be someone who could push through this crowd.
Well, you know, a bigger fella does get your attention a little bit easier.
Well, you know what they ought to do is have the fridge just clear the way.
That's all they'd have to do, have him step on it and just say separate, and I think they'd do it.
That's right, that's right. Or what was that good line yesterday? That was 3.8 on the Richter scale
right.
when he went over the line.
You know, Jim Grabowski was kind of anxious to get out here today. He's got a couple of new new enterprises, some ice cream stores. You probably do a very bad business today, Jim.
Joe, there's no doubt about it. I'm surprised if we're open today, frankly. Who's going to buy ice cream on a day like today? But certainly when it gets warm, they'll be at the door, I hope.
That's right. That's right.
This welcome has actually stopped the Bears cold. Chicago is the only, as a group, is the only group to stop the Bears this year outside of Miami. But they're stopped now.
All right, here they come.
Here they go.
Escort. Now,
There's the trophy. All right, the Vince Lombardi Super Bowl trophy.
A police escort. That's
Mike McCaskey carrying the trophy. Yeah,
holding
carrying
the trophy.
You know, I don't think he's had it out of his arms since last night.
No, probably not. Can you blame him? Can you blame him a bit?
I don't think I would either.
He carried it like a little child everywhere he went.
There we go. Looky there.
Bringing it home to Chicago. Mike McCaskey, president.
That's not only the Bears, that's Chicago.
He's approaching the podium now.
There goes the bark.
Just about to the steps. The Bears working their way with police escort through that crowd over along the Diamond Vision screen. And there's Mike.
There's Virginia McCaskey.
All right. Now listen to this crowd.
Listen to that crowd.
Okay, Chicago.
Super Bowl champion! The Chicago Bears in 1985!
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael McCaskey, the Chicago Bears!
I can't tell you what a great moment this is for all of us Chicago Bears. Today, in this country, everybody is a Chicago Bear fan. Our Bear family has a dream, and that's to be a championship ball club. The players, the coaches, the staff have worked hard and long to make it happen. It happened. We are the Super Bowl champs. Woof, 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 woof. Yes. It couldn't have happened without superb players. And there are a lot I could mention. Samurai, the Colonel, Double T, Jimbo. It goes on and on. But if you had to mention one, you had to mention one player, it would have to be Walter Payton. You bet. You bet. When the crowd started chanting, Walter, Walter, in that Superdome.
Walter, 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 Walter.
That's exactly right. He's earned that respect. He's earned that respect as a man and as a football player. He can stand for the Chicago Bears. We also had to have superb coaching. We have in Mike Ditka, a coach who, better than any other, stands for the values of Papa Bear Hallis. He stands for toughness. He stands for a joy in competing. And he hates like hell to lose. That's Mike Ditka. There are also other people in the Bear organization of whom I am very proud and to whom I am most thankful. Jerry Venisi, Bill Tobin, and all the rest. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, win it all!
Thank you, Chicago. All right.
I'd just like to say thank you for your support. It was a total team and city effort. Credit goes to the Chicago Bears organization, our players, our coaches, our wives. I just want to thank you fans for your support. We brought a championship home to Chicago. Thank you.
There was to be sort of an official plaque presentation, but you know, Joel, I think that the mayor, as well as Mike McCaskey and all the people who are organizing this rally have just kind of given way to the spirit of the day, which is let it happen the way it's going to happen.
Yeah! All right, we brought it home for you! All right, we're number one! And we're going to stay that way!
Henry Moorhead.
Born and raised in Evanston, Illinois.
Place kicker Kevin Butler!
Hey! Isn't this sweet? Hey, we just make your plans for Pasadena, because that's where we're stopping next year. One more time.
What a year he had.
Mungo, Steve McMichael!
See, there he is. Mungo.
I just have one thing to say. We all have bragging rights over the whole goddamn country!
One thing about Mike Michaels, he doesn't mince words.
No, he doesn't.
And you know, the crowd loves him for it here today. People standing on tiptoes, people on other people's shoulders, trying to get a look.
We got bear weather to come back to. It's great to be home, and we're getting ready for next year. We're number one. We have a plaque here for the owners of the Chicago Bears, Mr. Mike McCaskey. Here's a plaque for that great team and that great ownership.
All right. Very handsome. Thank you very much.
NFL Super Bowl number 20 champion.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, the idea was that the players were going to all sit in those white chairs on the platform.
The S-curve's gonna be there.
Best laid plans, but today, Joel, who cares?
As you said, Marianne, all the plans have gone by the wayside.
I think so.
For this program. The crowd has just taken them out of it.
But the Bears don't seem to mind. They seem
No.
delighted by the whole thing. They're kind of milling around up there wrapped in blankets.
This is a love feast.
Marshall Field, Mr. Miller, make a presentation.
This is the Waterford Super Bowl football for Mike McCaskey and the team. Let's give him a big cheer.
That's a beautiful crystal from Marshall Field.
That was presented by Phil Miller, who's president, or CEO, I should say, of Marshall Fields.
It's a beautiful piece. It'll look nice next to that Lombardi trophy.
Should go side by side.
Now, we get to keep that trophy till next year, right, Ronnie?
Yes, we can keep it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's keep it for a few years.
Yeah.
the rest of the players can't get off the bus.
Go Bears.
There's the Picasso.
We're number one.
I wonder if old Pablo would get as enthusiastic.
And a few more people have joined that lonely Picasso sitter, trying just to get a view. You know, earlier we mentioned some tow trucks that were leading the procession in. They've been immobilized now because people have climbed on top of tow trucks, we can see, to try to catch a glimpse.
Be careful. Get home safely. Get home safely.
You know, I think the mayor's a little happy. Aren't we all?
We can do what we want to do. And hey, the offense came out there and played their game. The special teams played their part. Everybody, hey, had one thing in mind, is to be the world champs. And it feels good, Chicago. We brought it home, like I said.
I just wish I could say what I'm feeling now, but I can't. I just want the fans to know that I really appreciate them standing by me and all the all the love that they've given me and showed me through getting here.
This is the greatest thing that's happened to the city in a long, long time. And I'll tell you what, the city deserves it, the team deserves it, and by God, it's all been the greatest things that ever happened to me, Johnny. The greatest things.
Those were some of the guys who went to the Pro Bowl, and they're in Hawaii right now. Taped messages to the citizens of Chicago. Yeah, I'm sure they hated to miss this.
I know they did, but you know, something that he said that's something that I've said all along. Walter Payton, I think I'm most happy for him. You know, here's a guy that set every record that could be set and a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame. The one thing was missing was that Super Bowl ring. Now
Yes,
he's got that.
Yes.
Well, this crowd, the ceremony is over, incidentally. This crowd isn't through celebrating.
Nobody wants to go back to work. No one intends to go back to school, Joe. However, the buses are still rather immobilized over there, so it might be a while before they're able to leave this area.
Actually, I think, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a while before we get to go anywhere. We're in the middle of this.
That's right.
We want to thank Ronnie Bull, great player of the past from the 60s, Jim Grabowski.
Thank you, Jim.
University of Illinois, native Chicagoan, a Green Bay Packer, a Chicago Bear, our friends, all of you. Marianne, thanks for keeping me warm.
You know it.
Back to Harry Potterfield in the studio. Bye now.
Eyewitness News at 4 is next. A super effort by every member of the Chicago Bears is responsible for bringing the Chicago Super Bowl 20 title. Bears crushed New England 46-10. That sparked a citywide late-night celebration by frenzied Bear fans who saw years of frustrating losses come to an end.
Also at 4 o'clock today, you can tell winter has returned to our area, sending thermometer readings below zero overnight. And Dr. Art Uline begins a special series of reports on food allergies and just how dangerous certain foods can be. Tales on those stories, plus lots more on that big rally still going on at Bears Plaza.
Don't plan to come down. The show is now pretty much over anyway, although obviously the celebration goes on and may continue for a while yet. Quite a welcome home for the Bears, Dan.
Well, it was great for them to be able to see the people and for the people to see the players that they were able to see. There were so many. I don't know. What do you think, Rick? Were there more people lined up down LaSalle Street, I would imagine, there were crowded into the plaza? So most of the people got to see most of the players that came back, and I think that's an important thing.
As you can see, they're hanging off of the Picasso statue at the Plaza Center. The signs are still there. The enthusiasm is still there. The exuberation is still there. It began last night with the final whistle, of course, and we saw all of the spillover into the Rush Street area along Division there between State and Dearborn. We saw some of it here at Bears Plaza last night before police cleared this area. There is some perhaps well-intentioned but misguided celebrant. We hope he doesn't hurt himself. But the celebration that began last night, Dan, and continues apace today, is probably going to linger for a few more days. We haven't had a winter like this in quite a while, and it feels good to the people of Chicago.
The hangover of victories. You can hear some people yelling into our windows here. Everybody's having a good time down here, and as we said, I think the cold really wasn't a factor with most of the people that were down here today.
You know, long after the celebration is over, too, some of the melody will linger on for quite a while. We saw a plaque that Mayor Washington presented to the Bears. That Super Bowl trophy we get to keep, do we not?
That's right, the Vince Lombardi trophy. This, for the first time, is a permanent type thing to the winner of the Super Bowl, and this will be the first one that is kept by the winning team, and that, of course, is our Chicago Bears.
You've got that right. I'll be interested to find out where it ends up. I'm sure, no doubt, at Soldier Field. We are going to be stuck here at Daly Plaza, Bears Plaza, if you will, for a while longer, for no other reason than there's no way for us to get out. We will return with more of Chicago's Super Celebration, a welcome home for the Chicago Bears, in just a moment. Chicago's Super Celebration continues. We are back live at Bears Plaza at the Daly Center in the heart of downtown Chicago. This crowd shows no signs of breaking up anytime soon, Dan.
They are beginning to file out, although
they can't file very fast.
The downtown area is going to be congested for a long, long time.
No, traffic down here will be jammed up for easily an hour or two. There go the balloons. They had some 10,000 of those held ready. And off they go, and you can see that stiff breeze that'll be carrying them aloft. It's been a cold afternoon down here, at least as far as the weather is concerned, but I have to think in terms of the spirit and the heart of the situation, a great deal of warmth has been generated both ways, from the team to the fans as well as the fans to the Chicago Bears.
One of the things they had planned in the program was to play the Super Bowl Shuffle, that song you may have heard once or twice on the Diamond Vision board.
I seem to remember it.
And have everybody get involved in that, but I think the quarters were too close down there for them to even consider that.
I think it was a smart move on the part of whosever part it was, I guess we should say, to decide to slow things down a little bit, make it a very brief ceremony, let some of the Bears make a couple of comments, and then end it in the interests of safety and security for the people who are here, the thousands of fans who are obviously still celebrating and will be for some time yet to come. We started to mention before the break about some of the lasting impact of this, besides the glow of a Super Bowl victory, something that's not occurred for Chicago fans before. The S-curve on the outer drive, the newly restructured S-curve, is going to be renamed George S. Halas Drive, of course, in memory of the founder of the National Football League, the only man who ever owned the Bears, longtime coach with the Chicago Bears, of course, and it's still within the Halas family, the ownership of the club. So the S-curve is going to be renamed George S. Halas Drive. Have to think about Kevin Butler's statement, too, for a minute, Dan, because Kevin said, we'll see you next year in Pasadena, and I got to believe him.
Well, that's where 21 is, and there will be a lot of interesting Bears news to come the next month. So Richard Dent's contract maybe being the most outstanding story that is still yet to be developed.
Well, I saw Mike Ditka say, he was quoted in the papers today as saying he'd already mentioned to Dent, give me a loan because, quote, the money will be there. So it looks like Dent's got a pretty strong end to play.
Well, he really does. I mean, the Super Bowl MVP and the sack leader in the NFL this year. He had a tremendous, tremendous season. We talked to Mike McCaskey about that topic yesterday. He said, don't mention it to me today. Don't mention it to me tomorrow. But get back to me on Tuesday, and we're going to start talking about it.
There will be a great deal for us yet to share with you. I have a feeling that the celebration is far from over. The fans are slowly making their way around our vantage point, trying to fan out across the loop as they head for their cars, their buses, and whatever else there may be. However, they're going to get home, but many of them linger. They'll be watching the Diamond Vision screen at Bears Plaza at the Daly Center. If for no other reason, perhaps out of enthusiasm, and perhaps because they've got no place else to go. But it has been a warm welcome home on a bitter cold Chicago afternoon. A warm welcome home for our victorious Chicago Bears. I have to say, Dan, I'm a little bit disappointed that Walter didn't show up to get a round of applause from all of the people that have supported him and to whom he's been so supportive over the years. I wish that Walter Payton had been here.
Well, as we said, we had information that he would be, and for all we know, he was on one of those buses. But as you saw, not very many people got off just because the crush of the crowd was too great. And had Walter been on the buses, I'm not so sure it would have been a good idea to bring him up there anyway, at least if he had to come through that crowd.
I have to wonder if this doesn't indicate a little bit of his disappointment that he was held to, 61, 62 yards on how many carries, 20 or 21 carries at the game yesterday. Didn't get a touchdown, and they had an opportunity, for example, from the 1-yard line. Coach Ditka elected to go with a handoff to the Fridge, let Perry bowl his way over the line as opposed to handing it off to Walter Payton. Payton made it to the Super Bowl. Many people feel that he was in much measure responsible for getting the Bears there, and he didn't show up with a touchdown.
I don't think it makes one bit of difference.
You really don't?
I really don't. I mean, he's a proud guy, and everybody who plays the game wants to have a big day. I'm sure he would have liked to have a 100-yard afternoon and scored a couple of times. But for Walter Payton, the main thing is, and it always has been, winning the football game. And those guys did it every time but once this year, and they came home with a Super Bowl championship.
Well, we'll have to find out where Walter is and what he has been up to. And, of course, we have many people in the WGN sports department and, indeed, news teams that have been flooding the streets as the streets have been flooded with fans and confetti this afternoon. There is a thing known as the 9 o'clock news. It is the earliest late news in Chicago, and we happen to do it on Channel 9 about once a night.
And we'll have plenty more Bears coverage tonight as well. We'll take a look again at some of the great plays from yesterday's game and hear more from some of the players, what they had to say. And, of course, Bob Hillman and Bob Jordan are still down in New Orleans. We'll have reports from them on the aftermath in the Crescent City, which I'm sure was a lot of fun for everybody.
So there is yet more Bears coverage to share with you. We will see you tonight on the 9 o'clock news on WGN television. For now, from the Bears Plaza at the Daly Center in the heart of downtown Chicago, where you have witnessed a super celebration as Chicago welcomed home their victorious Super Bowl 20 champion Chicago Bears. For Dan Roan, this is Rick Rosenthal, WGN News, now back to regular programming.